Hello everybody. I just want to make this video. It's by request, and I was asked to refute some videos by YouTube user named ChinnuWoW. It's ChinnuWoW. Now, I was referred to a few videos, and after reviewing them I found so much inconsistencies in his argument and failed logic and reason, so we're going to go over them. Now I have to warn you, his videos have a ton of curse words. So what I'm going to do is I'll read you his argument, but I'll show you the video without the audio because there's so many curse words in it. But in his video, God is not omnipotent. He speaks about creation and the time it took for God to create. So let's go over his objections, okay? Now in this clip, he states that the Bible makes no sense. Now this begs the question, does the Bible make truly no sense? Or is he the one that can't make sense of it because he fails to understand it? And I'm going to prove that it's his own fault and not the Bible. So hear his argument for the Bible not making sense. He states, God created the world in 6 days, but creates the universe in 1 day. That makes no sense. So let's see if this is biblically accurate. Nowhere in the Bible, in Genesis to be exact, does the Bible say God created the universe in 1 day. It never mentions it. So when he says it makes no sense, he's right, because the Bible never says he created the universe in 1 day. So now we know that is the first lie, okay? And he's being dishonest. So let's move to the second lie, okay? Here he states that if God made the earth in 6 days, then it would take a octillion of years to create the universe. I have a question. How does he know how long it would take God, being all-powerful, to create the universe? In order for his statement to be true, he would have to have experience and observe a universe being created by God to know this for a fact and time God in the process. Where does he get the equation from? It's false logic. So now we know that's another lie. Why is it octillion number of years and not say millions or trillion? Why octillion specifically? He's had to have gotten that equation somehow, and I would like to know how he got that equation. I would like to know how he came to the reason that it would take God a octillion number of years to create the universe. But watch this, remember this, an octillion number of years it would take God to create the universe. Now I'm going to go back to this argument later. Let's keep moving on. Now here he tries to reiterate it would take God a octillion number of years to create the universe, and he tries to assert this false logic once again. There's no way for him to know this. How does he know how long it would take God to create the universe? He doesn't. What he's trying to do is rationalize God into a box and attempt to verify it. And he hasn't, but I would like to challenge him to prove scientifically how long it would take God to create something. If he can prove it scientifically, then he would prove his argument. But guess what? He can't. And then he states that this proves God is not omnipotent. If God was omnipotent, then he would have created everything instantly and he would not have needed to rest. Now, I'm omitting this bad language here. Now, if you have to use bad language constantly, that to me just shows that you're immoral. Now, if any atheist says there's nothing wrong with cursing, and atheists will say this, then by their reasoning, let's teach children cursing in public schools by offering it in our English classes and not prohibit the bad language in our homes and schools. So anyway, back to his argument. He says if God is omnipotent, he would have created everything instantly. He's assuming that time doesn't matter to God. While God is not bound by it, he may in fact work according to it for a reason. Now let's explore those reasons. The Bible states that heaven and earth declare the glory of God. So we see that God wanted us to see the universe if created instantly. I don't think this would be possible if God had created instantly, and we really wouldn't learn anything about universe and time. He's also assuming that God would be required to create instantly because he's omnipotent. But that's false logic, since God is not subjected to his omnipotence. His omnipotence is something that he is, but he's not bound by it. It's false to say that God is required to create instantly because he's omnipotent. Let's use this analogy. My neighbor calls me up and says, "Come to my home. I've got some new tools to show you." I say, "Okay, then take my time and walk over." He then comes to me and says, "Why didn't you run?" And I ask, "Why?" Then he says, "Because you can." But having the ability to do something doesn't mean I should or I have to. ChinnuWoW can jump off a building. Does that mean he should or has to? No, false logic. I also wanted to address this God not needing to rest thing. What Chin fails to realize is that the Hebrew word for rest is shavat or sabbath, which in Hebrew means abstain. We can see this more accurate from these translations of the Young's literal translation, "And God blesseth the seventh day and sanctified it, for in it he hath ceased from all his work which God had prepared for making." God's word. "Then God blessed the seventh day and set it apart as holy, because on that day he stopped and all of his work of creation." In the Good News Bible, he blessed the seventh day and set it apart as a special day, because by that day he had completed his creation and stopped working. So I would like to ask ChinnuWoW a few questions, but let me clarify something first. God does not rest because he's tired. Okay, and that's the problem with atheist thinking. He rested because he was tired. No. In the Hebrew translation, it's shavat or shabbath, which means to abstain. He just stopped because he was finished. He didn't rest because he was tired. So here are the two questions I would like to ask ChinnuWoW. One, how does he quantify the number of years God would take to create the universe? To be specifically octillion, and not let's say 1,000 years or hundreds. And why specifically octillion? And I would like to see the math of that. Two, why is God required to create instantly just because he's omnipotent? Now those are two questions that I would like for him to answer for me, and I would really appreciate it if he could. I've got 2 more videos coming out. Actually, I have a third one coming out on another subject that I need to continue. But I have 2 more videos coming out regarding ChinnuWoW. I believe I've just proven that his arguments are invalid by reason and logic. What I don't understand is where he gets this idea that God is required to follow his omnipotence. Just because he's omnipotent means he has to create in instantly, or if he doesn't create instantly, it would take him an octillion number of years to create the universe. See, it's false logic. He's using false logic to prove that there's no God. It's just silly. So thank you all for watching. I will come out with those other 2 pretty soon.